Ben & Jerry's is a household name in the ice cream industry. Even if you have never heard of them, you might have relished the sweet flavor of one of their irresistible products. As an organization, Ben & Jerry's has a long history that spans over 44 years. What is interesting about Ben & Jerry's is that the company did not limit itself to just the production of ice cream. It has impacted its immediate society in ways that go beyond the delicious taste of its flavors. The company has gone from grass to grace again and again. The success of Ben & Jerry's is not because everybody loves ice cream. In fact, the company was not the first to make ice cream, but it entered into the business with solid determination and forever changed the taste of the product. The story of Ben & Jerry's is about how two friends from high school came together to share their common destiny. Fate has tested these two friends several times in their journey to success, yet they have proved to be stronger than any obstacle. With every risk they take, they emerge better. The world has wondered how they survived, and this is the story of how Ben & Jerry's keep staying ahead of the curve. Although Bennett Cohen and Jerry Greenfield were neither brothers nor twins, they share some striking similarities, as if they were made for each other from heaven. Both men came from relatively low-income families who were barely getting by. Their parents were both refugees from Brooklyn, New York. They were both born in 1951. Ben and Jerry first met while they were students at Merrick School in Long Island in the early 60s. They quickly became close friends and enjoyed hanging out together. While in school, they had a different stint working in an ice cream shop. Ben had driven an ice cream truck in the suburban idols of Long Island, while Jerry worked as an ice cream scooper in a school cafeteria. After graduating high school in the late 60s, they took different paths that eventually brought them back together. Ben attempted to attend college but later dropped out in his second year, doing a series of menial jobs. Jerry had hoped to become a medical doctor. He attended pre-med school but was rejected twice. Both men later reunited in Saratoga Springs, New York. They rekindled their interest in the ice cream business and took the steps that helped set up their enterprise. The duo signed up for a $5 correspondence course in ice cream making from Pennsylvania State University. This course eventually laid the foundation of the Ben & Jerry's ice cream empire we know today. After completing the ice cream making course, they decided to set up their shop. They pulled their savings together and all they could raise was $8,000. They borrowed an additional $4,000, making their capital $12,000 in total. Since Saratoga Springs already had an ice cream shop, they moved to a renovated old gas station in Burlington, Vermont, a college town they both liked, and set up their first ice cream scoop shop in May 1978. Their ice creams quickly became the taste of the city, with more people dropping by to grab a cone for leisure. They have some strategies that increase the popularity of their ice cream, like selling ice cream during outdoor parties and giving free cones of ice cream to customers. On the first anniversary of their shop in 1979, they celebrated the first ever free cone day, where they gave out free scoops for everyone all day long. By the beginning of the 1980s, the fame of their ice cream had spread outside Burlington. Ben & Jerry rented space in an old spool and bobbin mill on South Champlain Street in Burlington and started packing their ice cream in pints. They began distributing to grocery and mom-and-pop stores around town. Ben & Jerry soon noticed a disturbing trend in their business. As the business grew, they began having issues with finance, and their books were not balanced due to excess giveaways. They decided to change how they operate completely. Ben & Jerry soon figured out that there is more to running a successful ice cream business than mixing different flavors. They decided to hire a successful Burlington nightclub entrepreneur named Fred Chico Lager to take control of the books, deal with suppliers, and forge ahead with expansion plans. Fred proved competent for the expansion, and the first franchised scoop shop opened at Shelburne, Vermont in 1981. While Fred ran the daily activities, Ben & Jerry concentrated on mixing great flavors. Ben & Jerry's was gradually spreading its franchise across the United States. Before Ben & Jerry's ventured into selling ice cream, there was a common trend in the ice cream industry, which they changed to make their taste stand out among others. Most ice creams had only 3 flavors: chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. Often the three flavors came side by side in a single container. If you were lucky, you could maybe find mint or chocolate chip. Ben & Jerry took the challenge of creating a flavor that had never existed before, and they started mixing different ingredients like sweets, chocolates, cream, cookies, and candy. Ben was mainly in charge of mixing these blends of flavor, and he claimed to have gotten these formulas while mixing concoctions as a kid. Ben faced a disability that made his mixing job more difficult. He had a serious case of anosmia, which meant he could not smell or taste. This means that all the time Ben was in charge of mixing different flavors, he had never fully tasted any of the delicious flavors Ben & Jerry scooped up at their shops. Despite Ben's loss of taste and smell, he still managed to create great flavors, which means he got creative when combining flavors. According to Ben, he relied on mouthfeel when mixing up his diet and applied the same principle to Ben & Jerry's pints and in-shop flavors. Their unique blend of flavors led to new sets of ice cream like Glampfire Trail Mix ice cream, which has pretzel pieces, marshmallows, and almonds. Cherry Garcia has cherries and fudge. Other varieties taste like cinnamon buns, cannoli, and cold brew coffee. They also made collaborations with celebrities to attract more customers. One of their most popular is the Netflix and Chilled, which has peanut butter ice cream with pretzels. They also have Mint Chocolate Chance, which was made with Chance the Rapper's favorite flavors, mint and fudge brownies. There is also the Americone Dream that featured the face of Stephen Colbert, a former host of a political satire show in the United States. Their ice cream sold far and wide in the United States. By the late 80s, they were making over $30 million in sales, and the company was operating shops in 18 states. In 1988, Ben & Jerry earned the distinctive award of U.S. Small Business Persons of the Year from President Ronald Reagan. Time magazine also rated Ben & Jerry as the best ice cream in America. The two friends then took the success of their ice cream business to another aspect of society that surprised the entire business world. As their business expanded, Ben & Jerry found the day-to-day running more demanding. The business had grown beyond what they had planned when they started. They only intended to run a decent ice cream shop and make a living, but the Ben & Jerry's ice cream brand enjoyed by millions won't stop growing. In the mid-80s, Jerry temporarily left the ice cream business. Ben was finding it hard to run the venture alone and considered selling off the company completely. However, Jerry returned to the company with renewed commitment, and they both decided to run their business according to their personal values. Shortly after their return, they established the Ben & Jerry Foundation and committed to giving out 7.5% of the ice cream company's pre-tax profits. Ben & Jerry's helps promote corporate social responsibility with their foundation. They constantly donated large sums of money to different communities through various charitable organizations. Ben & Jerry also resolved to pay their employees higher wages than the required minimum wage, and they called this payment system the living wage. Ben & Jerry's quickly became famous in the United States for supporting different social movements by dishing out free cones of ice creams on protest grounds. In 1988, the company started a non-profit organization with the aim of redirecting 1% of the national defense budget toward peace-promoting activities. In 1990, Ben & Jerry's launched a Support Farm Aid message printed on their pint as part of the grassroots effort of Farm Aid, a non-profit organization whose mission is to keep family farmers on their land. They also played a central role in environmentally friendly policies by sourcing raw materials from producers who support the Green Revolution. They were committed to efforts at recycling at their facilities, a mission that was also reflected in their packaging. One of the most remarkable campaigns by Ben & Jerry's was in the mid-80s. One of its competitors in the ice cream industry then was Pillsbury, a giant in the food industry who owned the Häagen-Dazs premium ice cream brand. Häagen-Dazs had succeeded in many markets, but Ben & Jerry's was a serious threat to their brand in the ice cream industry. Pillsbury attempted via legal channels to stop Ben & Jerry's ice cream outlets from opening near theirs and forced Ben & Jerry's to file suit against them. Pillsbury still put pressure on outside suppliers who sold products from both companies to stop selling Ben & Jerry's ice cream. To demonstrate their resolve to kick Ben & Jerry's off the market, Häagen-Dazs, for example, fired shots in Boston, telling local retailers that if they wanted to continue selling their brand, Ben & Jerry's must go. As the pressure became unbearable, Ben & Jerry launched a counter-campaign against Häagen-Dazs' parent company, Pillsbury. Ben & Jerry asked fans of their ice cream to call Pillsbury and ask, "What's the doughboy afraid of?" The counter campaign quickly gained public support as people started going against Haagen-Dazs's products. Haagen-Dazs backs down, but the two ice cream brands continue to appear on store shelves in harmony, while Ben & Jerry's continues to grow as a company. From the mid-90s to the early 2000s, there were a series of changes that adjusted the management and organizational structure of Ben & Jerry's. In 1994, Ben Cohen, one of the founders, resigned as chief executive officer in June of 1994, but remained chair of the board and invented new ice cream flavors. To replace him, Ben & Jerry's launched a well-publicized campaign called Yo, I Want to Be a CEO, which offered customers to show their interest in becoming the next CEO. The interested were invited to send a postcard telling why they would make an ideal executive leader of Ben & Jerry's Homemade. They eventually settled on a traditional corporate chief executive discovered through an executive search firm in 1995. The coming of Robert Holland as the new CEO brought the company to a crossroads. Ben & Jerry's had become the brand's icons, but there was a concern that the company would lose its social relations and unique culture under Holland's leadership. Ben & Jerry's had always had a strict pay-scale ratio for its management, which it had to break when hiring Holland. Holland stepped down in 1996. The following year, Perry Odak became the new CEO, driving sales that year to nearly $174 million. In late 1999, the firm announced it had received notice of interest from other large firms. On August 3, 2000, the international food giant Unilever purchased the Ben & Jerry's brand for $326 million. However, the deal called for Ben & Jerry's to be operated separately from Unilever's other ice cream brands. Through a unique acquisition agreement, an independent board of directors is created to provide leadership focused on preserving and expanding Ben & Jerry's social mission, brand integrity, and product quality. Jerry Greenfield remains vice chair of the board and director of mobile promotions. He and Ben still own 42% of Ben & Jerry's voting stock and devote much of their time to an organization called Businesses for Social Responsibility, of which Ben Cohen is a founding member. To this day, Ben & Jerry's remains an iconic brand in the ice cream industry, whose product is still enjoyed by millions worldwide. We hope you enjoyed this video just as much as eating a delicious Ben & Jerry's. Subscribe, or we'll melt away.